This is a quick story of a crazy story that happened when I was traveling across the US exploring over the last 2.5 years, and it happened in Florida. This is the super condensed speed version of the story because I am not the greatest at telling stories, and with y'all's YouTube ADHD attention spans, for me to actually keep you retained for over a minute is going to be tough. So I'm just going to give you the story fast. So this is a condensed version. Long story short, I was staying with a family member while visiting Florida, and of course it happened in Florida, but a hurricane came through, and that's not the crazy part of the story. After the hurricane came through and we survived it, and I was doing a morning walk to see the wreckage, see all the branches and stuff strewn everywhere, I came back to the house I was staying at, and there was an entire SWAT team, like 4 or 5 police cars with their lights on, and then SWAT team, people with guns, on our driveway, hidden behind our cars. Now, of course, I was shocked and startled at first, but then it was clear that the focus was not on our house or me or anything like that. It was focused on the house across the street. So I couldn't tell what it was. Obviously, it was not a good time to interrupt the police officers and asked. So, while I was a bit rattled, like I just kind of stayed back and I was like, okay. So I can't remember if I stayed to watch. I think I just walked the other way and came back in like 10-15 minutes. And then when I came back, there was already a crowd of spectators gathered there. There's like, I guess people in the neighborhood who were just like also spectating. And long and short of it, I was talking to one of the people spectating, and he was like part of that house, and he was basically like, yeah, it's a domestic abuse issue. My aunt or something called the cops. They were like arguing, and he was drunk, during the like hurricane, and then now it's come out to bite them. So it was a whole crazy mess, and then, fortunately it got resolved without any violence or anything like that, but they were kind of like literally like behind our cars, like using it as cover for potentially anything that could happen. And it was kind of a smaller town in the place I was staying in Florida, so I was surprised like that they were on it, and they had I didn't even know these small towns had a full SWAT team ready to engage. So they were probably like waiting for something. It was probably like a slow paced life, so they were like ready for action. And that's also very scary stuff too, to have to go into that, even in like a smaller town. And then on top of that, you would think that the story ends there, and it kind of does, but it gets even crazier. And because the attention spans are kind of short, I'll just give you a hint at what happens next and summarize it real quickly. But essentially, after all of that, I go inside to my house, and then one of my roommates is also having a whole spat and giant argument with his partner, and obviously not to the level of domestic abuse or anything. And they were kind of looking out the window, seeing the whole thing as well. But it was also really crazy to see as well. That turned into a huge fight as well. It was unrelated, but it was just kind of funny and like ironic that they were also having a fight. It's like, dude, like there's already a fight going on, like you want to add to it. So they had their own fight, and it was pretty crazy how that went. And that's essentially the story that happened. Florida's kind of known for its craziness. That's why there's all these Florida man jokes. But hopefully you like that story.